Hello, this is Michał Kłakowski from Software Sales 101. Today I'd like to show you something truly outstanding. This thing behind my back is called Market Development Lifecycle. It's been defined by a gentleman named Geoffrey in his book Crossing the Chasm. The book is now more than 20 years old, but it's still a brilliant read, very relevant, I highly recommend it. But today we're just going to focus on application of this concept to qualifying a software company you potentially might want to work for. So why does it matter? This thing is a way to measure early versus late market. Why does it matter? You don't want to be in a software company too early, selling an idea which is perhaps not validated yet, still fluctuating or changing, but you don't want to be there too late either, selling something which is a commodity. Everybody understands that and it's trivial, and you get squeezed on price by your competition. Rise and fall of the markets used to take 100 years or dozens, depending on the point in history which you think about. Imagine, for example, market for transportation. The idea of riding a horse or a carriage has been there for hundreds of years. People have been trading horses, and that was the common idea that this is how you transport yourself from A to B. After that, a car came with combustion engine, and for 100 years or so, that has been the most universal way of transportation. Now, combustion engine is being replaced by electrical engine in a short period of time. Those cycles are getting shorter and shorter. In software, when I started my career 20 years ago, 20-something years ago, it's been roughly 10 years. Now it's 3, maybe 5. So those cycles, understanding your place in the cycle is becoming more and more critical. Let's talk a little bit about the cycle itself. For every idea, in various stages of the understanding, various groups of your market, or subgroups, if you will, are becoming ready to buy into your idea. And Geoffrey talks about innovators as the first group who is ready to jump on an idea. Innovator is somebody who is fascinated in technology itself. They don't care that much about payout. They are geeks and they want to be cool and they want to be fancy. After this, there is a next group called early adopters. Early adopters are obsessed about the competitive edge that the new technology is giving to them, and they're willing to adopt something that is not really finished, not really ready for the mass public yet. After early adopters, and that little thing called Chasm, and I'll get back to it later, we have early majority. This is where the money is. And joining a software company here is the best thing you can do for yourself. That is the moment where majority of customers start adopting new idea. Late majority is the moment when it starts to commoditize slowly, and then in the very end we have the last segment called laggards. Let me explain that on a specific example. Think about the idea of a smartphone. We tend to think that the first smartphone out there was Apple iPhone, but that's an illusion, of course. Technically, there has been smartphone-like devices way before Apple iPhone. Apple iPhone was the first one which really took off. That is the point where we start noticing technology, we as general public. That's this point. That's where Apple made their money. So let me tell you that story from the very beginning. When I was at the university, there has been a group working on a system for a doctor in a hospital to get relevant information about the patient depending on location. So the doctor walks along the hospital corridor, approaches a bed with the patient, and the system, in the form of a handheld device, gives him all the information about the scans and tests for that patient to build a context. This thing has been built in a university without any infrastructure that we have today. Today, it would be simply an app for the smartphone, but there were no smartphones, there were no app stores, there was not even cellular connectivity back then. The only thing you could have was Wi-Fi in a small device operated by stylus. And they've done it because they have been fascinated by the possibility to apply that specific technology to a given problem and solve it regardless of the cost. Next, this is a typical example of an innovator. Next phase is early adopters. Early adopter is somebody who buys the first version of an iPhone. Not sure if you remember that, but the first version of an iPhone has no cellular connectivity whatsoever. It's a pretty limited device in what it can do. There is no app store, but there is an email client. So sitting in a canteen, you can actually filter your email, if not respond to your email, with that very basic screen keyboard. And some people say, okay, that's an advantage because I can work on the move as long as I have Wi-Fi. This group, from a smartphone perspective, is most businesses who solve a very important problem of a mobile workforce. So back then, people either sit in the office and respond to emails, or they're at the meeting with their customers. You can't do both at the same time. Smartphone comes, and all of a sudden those businesses realize that they can reclaim a lot of lost time on commuting from A to B, because people working in a mobile way could be connected all the time. That is the valuable place. But this type of customer, early majority, they buy based on somebody's success story. So they are only ready to buy if they see a proven success story of somebody who is doing that already. Still, this is the point in which the use case is having most solid value. After some time, late majority is represented by usual users, individuals, who are getting smartphones because they are becoming available and their price starts to decline. You can get an affordable smartphone. That is the core reason why late majority is likely to buy. And in the very end of that cycle, you have laggards, people who are convinced it's really a bad idea. They will only get a smartphone if there's no feature phone available in their store. There's multiple reasons they might think so, like a smartphone has poorer battery life or maybe some privacy issues. Doesn't matter. This is a super tough sell. That's the very end of that cycle. In between early adopters and early majority is something that Geoffrey more calls Chasm. This is the point where every business needs to reorientate from a research mode, where they are really rewarded by additional information about the use case that they are researching, into operational mode, where they are scaling the business and everything is measured by money. Joining a company in early adopter phase of a market is possible. They're commonly referred to as startups, but it's a tough thing because those companies are not yet stable. They have not yet defined a scalable model. And you might find out that this job is really not durable, that you're going to lose it in short period of time, regardless of your performance, because the company might not be selling to the right customer at all, and they might need to redefine everything and start from scratch. Joining a company after they cross the chasm and they have a validated, scalable product is the best thing you can do, because then you're boarding a hockey stick, which is going to make the company and you make good money. How do you know you are there if you're still in the beginning of that road? That's a tricky question. It's all about measuring the value that your product or solution is delivering to the customer. And we're going to be talking exactly about that in next episodes. So subscribe and stay with me. And if you have any questions related to the concepts which I'm talking about, feel free to shoot me a comment and I will address them there. Thank you.